Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. Today we're doing the buyer's guide / review for the C-101 Aviojet, in particular the C-101CC. To keep this review structured, we're going to keep the same categories as we've been doing through the other modules. So that is 1. Capability. We're going to be looking at weapons, sensors and navigation. 2. Visual effects inside the cockpit and outside of the cockpit. We're going to rate that between 1 and 5 so that we can compare that roughly empirically with the other modules in DCS. To view it in comparison with the other modules, then you can see a link to the overall score sheet in the video description of this video, which will show what I've rated all of the other aircraft, and as well as that, what the other GR members have rated the other aircraft. 3. Sound effects, again inside the cockpit, and exterior sound effects. How good is the sound engine? Again rated 1 to 5. 4. Interactivity and detail. That is, how interactive is the cockpit? How many of the switches and knobs and such can we turn? How does it feel? What are the details behind the systems in the cockpit? And so on. Again, rated 1 to 5. 5. Flight model. Not necessarily how realistic is the flight model to the real plane. That is something we just expect nowadays. But more how immersive is the flight model? How does it make us feel that we're in a real C-101? And are there any things, any little problems in there that make us break this immersion and make it feel like a game? 6. Difficulty. 1 being easy, 5 being difficult. Just as a general guide, I'm not saying one's good and the other is bad, but just as a general guide for new players, how difficult is this plane to pick up, learn to fly and to learn to use its various systems? And finally, history. Since the aircraft came out, how many problems has it had in terms of bugs and things like that? Some aircraft have had a really tough time, some aircraft have been pretty much bug-free. So let's get started. Welcome to the C-101 cockpit. The C-101 comes in 2 flavours. So if you buy this module, you get the EB, which is the training variant, and you also get the CC, which is the light attack variant. We're going to look at the CC. They're very similar, but the major change is that the CC obviously gets the weapons and the gun sight and whatnot. The first thing I'd like to point out is the size of this aircraft. I put a flanker over there just to show you the size difference. Although it's very small, its capability is actually almost unbelievably massive. If we go to the armaments, one of the reasons I really like this aeroplane, it's so deceiving. So on the outer pylons, pylons 1 and 7, we can have air-to-air missiles. We can have AIM-9P, Mike, or the French 550 Magic 2. As far as I'm aware, the 9M Mike is the best weapon there, and that is the same weapon, for instance, we've got on an F-15C, or a Harrier, or an A-10A, so a good, modern, solid self-defense sidewinder. On pylons 2 and 6, we can have bombs. We can have a BIN-200, that is an incendiary bomb. We can have a BL-755, that is a unguided cluster bomb. A BR-250, that is a 250 kilo slick dumb bomb, and a 500 kilo version. We can have a Beluga. My understanding is that's the French bomb, cluster bomb for destroying runways. We've got a Russian Fab 100, 100 kilo slick, a Russian Fab 250. It's a real weird mix. You've got all sorts. You've got French, you've got Russian, and you've got NATO. 250 Fab. You've got a American, or NATO American Mark 82, 500 pound bomb. It's a slick as well, and unguided, slick unguided, 2,000 pound. Remember how small this plane is, 2,000 pound Mark 84. Or you can carry missiles. In this case, the Sea Eagle is a really accomplished anti-ship missile. It's actually got more range than the RB-15 of the Viggen. Annoyingly, we can't set up the targeting of the Sea Eagle in the cockpit. We have to do it in the mission editor. You have to actually specify which ship you're going to be going for. Whether that gets changed at some point, I don't know, but we will review it as it is here. And we get 2 Sea Eagles. You've got over 50 miles range with those Sea Eagles. Rockets, we're going to allow one 3-1 launcher with 7 2.75 inch rockets of parachute illumination, 68 with the same amount size rockets of a high explosive warhead, a Willy Pete white phosphorus warhead, a practice smoke warhead. That's actually really good going out in planes like this, which are really slow and easy to spot hostiles and smoke them for the bombing aircraft. I would allow 61 launcher with 19 2.75 inch rockets with a high explosive warhead. On pylons 3 and 5, bombs, the same bombs as before, except we also have the ability of 4 times training bombs. Rockets, the same as before. In the middle we get the guns, pods. We get the mighty Defa 553. This is a relatively low velocity 30mm cannon, or the AN-M3. This is 2 times M3 machine guns. I believe they're 50 cal. And you get more ammo. I think you get 250 rounds with that, and about 150, 120 rounds with that. So for such a small little light training / light attack aircraft, I think you'd be amazed at the capability of it. Now if we talk about how we can use these weapons, so the sidewinders and the magic we'll just use by manoeuvring our aircraft so that the hostile aircraft gets within the rough bore sight area here, which is the detection area of the missile seeker heads. Once they acquire an IR lock, we'll get a tone and we'll fire the missile. And we have cage uncage ability. Now that's the only way we can fire the missile, so it's not wise to go hunting jets like this, but against helicopters, against other attack aircraft, it's absolutely fine. And great for self-defense. For dropping the ground munitions, unfortunately we have no modern aiming system. I'll just use my chair, shall I? So we've got no CCIP, we've got no CCRP, we've got no fancy weapons control system. We've just got a gun sight here with a depressible pipper, which is comparable to something in the F5 or the L39 or the A4 Skyhawk. And the way that you'll get bombs on target is that you will train to do bomb ingress runs at a certain speed, at a certain angle, at a certain depression from a lookup table depending on that bomb. And that's the best way we've got of bombing. It takes a lot of training. It's not very easy to do. With rockets and with guns for ground attack, exactly the same thing, just different depression tables. The air-to-air gun is just basic ball sight shooting. We've got no type of calculation at all. We have no radar, ground or air-to-air radar in this. And that's another thing I should mention with the sidewinders, that you need to range everything manually by eye. There's no real other quick way of ranging a target. Regarding the Sea Eagles, the setup is all done in the mission editor. All we do is literally arm, select the weapons, arm them and fire them. Regarding sensors, we're extremely limited. Like I said, no radar. Unlike the F5, we have no RWR, so it's difficult to get a situational awareness of hostile radars. In terms of navigation, we're very light on this aircraft. We've got no type of tactical navigation, no waypoints, nothing like that. All we do have is a VOR friendly ADF. So we'd have, and the good thing is it's a twin beacon system ADF that we have here. And we have VOR, we have DME, and a basic ILS system through VOR as well, which is pretty cool for a little jet. But otherwise, that's all we have. So that's basically the ability to find a friendly runway in any weather, but no type of tactical navigation. We have 2 radios. We've got a backup VHF there, and we've got primary VHF UHF radio here. It's pretty easy to use, very good radio. We have basic autopilot functionality. And that's about as far as I want to go with the capability. Next I want to look at the visual effects inside and outside. So the best thing is if I just really look around and let you guys make your own mind up, and I'll make comments as I go. I mean, generally speaking, that there is just a beautiful, I love that. All the dials, it's beautifully lighted. Really, it's possibly my favourite front dash in DCS. Incredibly useful, loads of really useful stuff in there for us. This front bow is absolutely massive and a real pain in the arse. It really gets in the way, but that's as the jet is, so I can't mark it down for that. Mirrors do work, but there we go. Although the C-101's been out since about 2015, I think it was, the CC version has only been released relatively recently. I think about 6 or 7 months. I stand to be corrected. All in all, I think it looks pretty good. I know it's not absolute top brass like the, say, the Hornet, maybe the Tomcat. I think it looks really smart. The lighting I really like. So all in all, I'd rate the cockpit a good solid 4 out of 5. It's not F-18 standard, but it is, I mean, look at that, that's cool, right? Outside, it's okay, it's average, I'm going to say it's a 3, so that's a 3.5 for visuals. Next thing we want to look at is the sound in the cockpit and the sound outside. And we want to feel all the different things that the sound engine can communicate to us. Remember, the real pilot can feel the vibrations and the movements and the G-forces through his butt. We don't have that. We rely on a comprehensive and informative sound engine. So first of all, we're just going to see what's the engine sound like. Now, one complaint already is that the cockpit sounds are way too low. I've had to turn them right up to the very maximum just so you can hear them. So I'd really like, I know it's not a loud aeroplane, but I'd really like a louder internal engine sound. And I want to be able to hear the RPM all the way up from the engine. I want to be able to tell what RPM I'm doing from the engine sound, not just from the gauges. And you can barely hear it. There just is no sound there. I mean, it's terrible, to be honest. So that's kind of annoying. They probably modelled that on realism. And the annoying thing about doing that is we lose playability of the aircraft if they model it in realism. It's a bit like the F-18. I need to hear what the engines are doing. And I'll just mark it down for that. It will take down viewer satisfaction and just make it less enjoyable to fly, I find. Outside. It sounds okay outside. I just wish we could hear that inside the bloody cockpit. Okay, let's take off. The next thing is I want to hear ground rumble. I can't feel the ground rumble through my butt, so I need it to tell me that it's on the ground. And most planes have ground rumble, but some don't. And those ones are annoying. I can hear ground rumble, can you? I can hear that. Again, it's really quiet. I mean, I've got the sound up much louder than I would usually have in a normal video. So, again, it just needs beefing up a little bit. And it barely, I mean, I'm full blast on the engine. Listen to that, you can barely hear it. Very frustrating. Right, I've got to concentrate. How fast am I? So, the ground rumble's fine. The ground rumble's okay, actually. The engine's just terrible. I can't remember how to fly this thing now. Stand by. Perhaps appear to be up already. The next thing is I want to hear wind noise. I want to hear linear wind noise. I want to know how fast I'm going. I don't want to have to look down here at the IAS. I want to hear by the wind noise of the sound model. And you can hear that already starting to mount up. So it's definitely there, but we'll just get a bit more speed. .200 knots. Yeah, I don't need to go any faster. I can hear the wind noises there, so that's good. That's done right. Next, I want to be able to hear that when I'm pulling G's. I want it to confirm to me, the sound engine, that I'm pulling G's, so I don't have to look down at my instruments. And I also want it to confirm to me when I'm pulling high alpha. I want to hear when the wings are starting to struggle. I don't want to have to be looking down at my alpha gauge wherever it is. I want it to tell me through the sound engine. So let's start getting some G in there if we can. It's not a fast aircraft, so this may not actually be that easy. Yeah, you can hear the G there. And you can see the shaking of the alpha. I've lost my speed, so let's get my speed up again. This time we're going to go for a bit more alpha, see if that's going to translate through to sound. Yeah, you can just about hear it. It's got that annoying alpha warning going on there, which kind of covers anything up. But actually, I don't think there is any airframe sound from the alpha. I think it's purely that that warning, a bit like the A10C. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. Let's just try once more. I can't hear anything from the airframe. I don't know about you, but at least we can hear that warning. So we've got something to tell us at least that we are over alphaing without having to look. And you can hear the G. You could hear the guy struggling to breathe. So we've got it all in there. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's okay. I think next we'll try some weapons, so I'll go and load up quickly. Right, we've got some stores on now, so let's give it a whirl, shall we? Go to edge ground. Master arm on. Pylons you and you. Gonna go to rockets. Test fire. Oops, wrong button. Meow. My point is that it's got all the rocket sounds. They're not, I don't think, particularly realistic, but you need them in a game like this. We can't feel those weapons being fired like a real pilot could. Meow. Meow. It's got various control over ripple amounts and whatnot. Let's go for the bombs. Whoops, got to arm them. Good release sounds there. Get some big tower. And the gun. Get some. Just an average good gun sound. Nothing special about it. It's okay. Be nice to have a bit more reverb on it. Ammo counter 103. Get some. Okay. So let's do a couple of flybys just to show the outside sounds. Low throttle flyby. High throttle flyby. Summary, it's all just about there. It's not perfect. The engine noise is way too low in the cockpit. You literally can't hear anything you're doing with the engine. It's very frustrating. And it would be nice if we had some more high alpha sounds, not just the warning thing that we get. So we're going to give it 3.5 out of 5, I think, for that. The rest of it is all, you know, pretty respectable. No, actually, I think that's a bit too much, isn't it? We're going to have, because it is missing bits like that, I think we're going to have to give it 3. We'll give it 3 out of 5 for sound. While we're in the air, we may as well do the flight model. This is the best thing about this aircraft. I really do enjoy the flight model. It's just got great characteristics. So flying just normally like this, it's very smooth, it's very relaxing. That's just the warning for the generator, I think. The trim is nice to work with. If we were to go into some more maneuvers, we get the warning there from the Alpha. We also get cockpit shake, but it's not stupidly over aggressive cockpit shake, an annoying cockpit shake like the F-14. The kind of the pitch change is good. It's nice. It's aggressive. There's no weird jumpiness like you get again in the F-14. Don't know why I'm picking on that today. I just am. Don't get me wrong. It's slow. It's a really slow aircraft, and the reason we can never use it in our missions is because our missions are performance based, and we can't work with slow aircraft. Now, for you, most of you, that's not going to be a problem because you don't have to complete kind of big missions like we do in certain times. But we rarely get to use it. Roll is good. It's relatively slow, but you know, it's for what it is. The aircraft, it feels right. As well as that, just the weight of everything and the way it moves and the momentum, it's all there. It all feels just right, which is another reason why I'm a real fan of this model. Now, there's no fly-by-wire as such or anything like that in here, but it is just a good neutral aircraft. It's a stable aircraft. It's actually quite hard to crash. I mean, you watch, I'm probably going to crash now, but a noob can drive this. The stall limit's right down at whatever it is, going to be 90 knots or something maybe. It's almost like an easy-to-fly warbird. Yes, that Alpha thing does does start to piss you off quite badly, but it's useful. It's there to warn you. So although it's hard to quantify it and tell you, as someone, you know, experienced simmer who's got all the aircraft, it feels really good. It feels solid. It's a bit like the Huey, a bit like the F5. It's a good, solid. Everything is balanced right in terms of the flight model. Really low, get right down in the trees. Really easy to fly down here. Very thoroughly enjoyable aircraft to fly. Its interaction with the ground is good. So, you know, I've never really done anything major on the ground with it, but I've never had any problems, certainly. In terms of heavy loads, you know, you can feel it on the aircraft. It becomes unbelievably laboriously slow, but you can feel that weight that you've got on the aircraft with the high loadout. I haven't driven it very much, but from what I remember, it reacts to weather conditions well, turbulence, and winds and stuff like that. Let me know if you know about any problems in there. I just haven't I've got a massive amount of experience in that. Okay, let's try a bit of aerobatics with it, shall we? Don't get me wrong, it's no Mirage 2000, it's no F-16, but, you know. Haha, cool, huh? Can't do that in your Mirage. No, Cap, no! We best pretend that didn't happen. So, it's just a good solid flight model. I'm going to rate it 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So next we're going to move on to the detail, and I'm really happy to say it is very detailed indeed. You can see we can pick the fuses out. All down there, all that's done. I think, to be honest, I remember looking at this thoroughly with Stahl. Just about everything works here. I've just shut the bloody engine off, haven't I? Oh, I'm such an idiot. I best pretend that didn't happen. Everything around here is modelled regarding the engine. Everything's clickable, and one of those things where, as well as that, the little details, it's, you know, got all the different clicky sounds. That means a lot to me. If you're going to put your money into it, even those little things that none of the other planes seem to bother doing these little switches. Maybe the big and stuff, but you see. Those little things, they make the difference if you're going to pour your money into it. Anything you just about hear those sounds. And maybe some of the other aircraft have them, but the engine sounds cover them up maybe. But to be honest, I think a lot of them just don't have them. I can hear those sounds. They're not very big, but they're there. What else have we got around here? Anything was here with the weapons. That was our altimeter, yeah. 0 altimeter. All the guys down here, the navigation. Oh dear, battery. Oh, we may have to give it a 5 if we can't see anything that's not measurable. That's not. Oh God, stop it! If we can't find anything that doesn't, you know. Didn't need to do that, it's just the volumes. Off you go. All that works. Those pyramid gauges are really hard to work, by the way. Can't really mark it down for that. Come on, let's find something that doesn't work. Something's not got to work. What does that say? Canopy fracturing handle. I don't know what that means, so... What does that mean? Canopy fracturing handle. Come on, something don't work. We need something that doesn't work. What's all this? I don't think it's not buttons, is it? Where's the weapon stuff? All the weapon sounds here. Tested all that thoroughly. That all works. Stuff there to change which pilot is in control. It's the IFF stuff, even though it's not modelled in DCS, it's all there. Yeah, magnetic variation. I think everything's there. And we can also, don't forget, jump to the... We can fly as a multi-crew. It's a multi-crew aircraft. I'm assuming you knew that already. So we can have a human in the back here and a human in the front there in multiplayer. And you can do twin sorties and it's thoroughly enjoyable. And again, I'm going to guess everything's going to be modelled in the back here. Oh, look at that. Even the map case. Oh, we do like this attention to detail, don't we? Lighting. Oh no, look, we can't move the vent about. No, we can move the vent about. Of course we can. I think that's going to be a 5, you know. Only the A10C's been a 5. Oh, why do I keep doing that? And these. Stop it. So, let me know if you think I'm not really, but you know, I've never found anything that doesn't work. And there was a problem with VOR at one point. I think that's been fixed now though, so I think that's back and working. Otherwise, everything seems to be clickable and doable. What's that? Hey. So unless you guys can find any reason why not, I think I'm going to have to give it 5 out of 5 for interactivity, which is actually a really pleasant surprise. Next is difficulty, and there's nothing really that's difficult about it, to be honest. The systems are all pretty easy to use. You will have to consult the manual a bit maybe, but I'd say it's on par with an F5. It's very similar to an F5. Like I said, it's got the co-pilot back here, but it doesn't really add any complexity to learning it. Weapons are all relatively easy to use, although the same as the F5, it does take a lot of training to master them because we've only got a depressible pipper for aiming our bombs and rockets. The navigation stuff is all relatively basic small airplane stuff. Once you've learned it, it's pretty easy. And transfer that through to most other aircraft. So I think I'm going to rate it the same for difficulty what I did with the F5, and I'm going to go and quickly find out what that is. I rated the F5 2 out of 5 for difficulty, where 1 is an FC3 plane and 5 is an A10C, which is a really high study level sim. It requires a lot of learning before you can fly that properly. So 2 out of 5 for difficulty. Next is its history, and I've only known one problem, and that is the problems with the VOR and DME. I've been told it's been fixed. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to trust them and say that it is fixed. Otherwise, personally, I don't know anything else has gone wrong. I rely a lot on you guys for this, so if anyone knows out there existing bugs or any historical bugs, then let me know and I'll put them to the top of the comments so people can read about them. It's just something that people deserve to know when they go and spend their money on this kind of thing. So that's it. In summary, it's a cool attack plane. Its capability is actually very high compared to the type of ordnance that it can use. It's actually pretty impressive. Although, be careful, it is a very slow plane. You know, you're not going to be using this for a strike and whatnot. So if you want it as a certain performance, then just bear that in mind. You're going to max out at about, I don't know, 270, just over 300 knots, depending on your loadout and whatnot. Good feel, good flight model. Sounds, it turns out, aren't that good. And the visuals are pretty good. I hope that was useful, and see you later.